I got some juicy trade rumors coming up today here on the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz, and we're breaking down a rumor from CBS linking Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Jamel Dean to the Silver and Black. If you want to check out the entire article, it is titled NFL Summer Trade Proposals, Big Name Deals for 2025. The way that I like to do this show in the offseason is this is my logic. If it is interesting to me, let's go ahead and talk about it. I don't want to see no clickbait. I'll admit this trade is probably not all that likely to happen. But when I first started doing this show, friendly reminder, everybody starts at 0 subscribers. I would look at what people like CBS, ESPN, Fox Sports had to say, and I would break down their ideas and give you my Raiders 2 cents on it. That's what you guys are going to see here coming up on today's show. I hope that you appreciate it. So first off, I want to break down why a Jamel Dean trade to the Las Vegas Raiders could happen. And I think by the time you get done watching this show, you're going to be sitting there going, yeah, either A, I can absolutely see that happening, or B, no, that's not really the player that I'm looking for. When you first see the trade rumors and the cut rumors around Tampa Bay, that's going to be the first reason why this should spark your interest a little bit, because Dean has been linked to trade and cut rumors all off season long. I'm not going to act like I sit here every single day and I look at what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing, but my job here at Chat Sports is to look at what is happening around the National Football League, and Dean has been somebody that has been linked to trade rumors, been linked to cut rumors. I would almost throw him out there as somebody along the lines of like a Dylan Parham. Not that we're trying to move on from Parham, but you can at least create something in your mind that goes, all right, I could understand why this regime would move on from him. If Tampa Bay cuts him, if they trade him, this team ends up saving $12.9 million. They eat a little bit, but for the Las Vegas Raiders, there's an opportunity on the table if he's cut. Makes it a lot easier, though I would be shocked if Tampa Bay ended up cutting him. If you're going to get him, you're going to have to trade. This is what CBS had to say on the Bucs cutting or trading Jamel Dean. Dean's 6-year run with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers includes a Super Bowl title and big money extension, but the veteran has been frequently mentioned as a potential cut or trade candidate due to a $15 million 2025 cap hit, almost all of which the Bucs could clear from their books by dealing Dean elsewhere. So if you're Tampa Bay and you're sitting there going, well, I would like to try to get this guy off my books, and he's a good player, and the only reason you move on from a player is either A, you got a brand new regime. Tampa Bay doesn't have that. They just extended, both head coach and general manager. The reason why you potentially do it, it's because you go out and you draft new players, and that's exactly what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did. Like, if you were Jamel Dean and you saw what Tampa Bay did this past year, you're probably sitting there going, oh, shit, dude, I got $0 million guaranteed on my contract, and they go out and they draft Notre Dame cornerback Benjamin Morrison in round 2 at pick 53. Think about how often I talked about Morrison. He was one of my favorite players for the Raiders to target at pick 37 in the draft. They got him at 53. He did end up falling because of some medical concerns, but still, he's a reliable player. Also, Tampa Bay went out and they drafted Jacob Parrish, who Kansas State corner. I'll be honest, I think he's probably going to be a little bit more slotted as a nickel corner in the National Football League, but he did play some outside corner and played predominantly outside at Kansas State. I would almost look at Jacob Parrish as kind of like, yes, he's an undersized dude, but sometimes these undersized players that go out there and they play a lot bigger than, their actual height and their actual weight gives you an opportunity. But right now, when you look at that Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary, when you look at that defense in general, they have a lot of solid depth and they have a lot of good young depth. And if you believe in your coaching staff, maybe you decide to cut ties with a player because it's easy to get out of his contract because you're already focused on the future, and maybe Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' future in that secondary. I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. But the number one reason I would say that the Raiders, if this trade ends up going down, it's the connection to John Spytek, and it's the connection to Tom Brady. Reminder, Spytek has been a part of that Tampa Bay organization for a long time, and he was a big factor in why the Buccaneers decided to take Dean back in the 2019 NFL draft. So you also got not only Spytek being a part of that regime that drafted him, he was with them from 2019 to 2024, and the Bucs did a lot of winning during that time. He was also teammates with Tom Brady when they won the Super Bowl for 3 seasons, one Super Bowl win, 3 seasons with TB12. So when you know that this team has got a coaching connection, when you know that this team's got a connection with Tom Brady and John Spytek, after everything that this organization has proved to us this offseason, I don't know how you look at something like this and go, it's no chance it's going to happen. There's always a chance. It's the National Football League. So this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, and you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer. Should the Raiders trade for Jamel Dean? I want you to simply type trade if you're all in, or if you're not interested in the trade, type pass. My answer is going to be coming up here in just a moment. All right, I'm not going to lie. I did lie a little bit. My answer is going to be coming up here at the very end of the video because I don't want to sway you and what you think about what the Raiders and what Tampa Bay could do. I should also mention this, though. I'm going to give you 3 trade ideas at the very, very end of today's show. Let's go to the next reason here of why the trade could happen. I do think if Dean is 100% healthy, he would be the best cornerback on the Las Vegas Raiders for this season. I don't know about in the future. You could also argue if Jacorian Bennett is healthy and takes a step forward. Like if he were to take a step forward, I'm talking about Jacorian, from his rookie season to a sophomore year. Think about how big of a jump Bennett made. If Bennett makes that big of a leap from his second year to the third year, well, then they would say that Jacorian Bennett would be a better corner than Jamel Dean. Here's the problem, though. With Dean, he hasn't been healthy. He's missed 18 games in the 6 years that he's been in the league. He's never played more than 16 games in a season. The most he's ever had is 15. I will say this, the lowest PFF grade in 6 years was a 68.3 overall in 2023. And when you really look at his last 2 seasons, I would probably say that his worst 2 years of his entire career have been the last 2 years with the Buccaneers. 7 PBUs, 1 interception last season. But look at the games played again. He has yet to play an entire season, and over the past 2 years, he's missed, a handful, almost 10 games there in total. But then again, I love corners that can cover, and Dean is one of these dudes that is long, he's lanky, and he is a good cover corner when he's 100% healthy. Last season, he gave up the second highest quarterback rating of his career at 91.2. It's actually only the second time in his career that he gave up a quarterback rating over 90, but gave up a touchdown. You can see the yards, the completion, and attempts. He was targeted often, but I think that's also because of how often the Buccaneers were scoring points and teams were chasing points a lot against Tampa Bay. Let's go to the final reason here of why I think that it could happen. It is a extremely manageable contract for both Tampa Bay and for Las Vegas if they wanted to take it on. And I say that because he's got 2 years left on his contract and $0 million guaranteed. The fact that you got 0 guaranteed, that helps out Tampa Bay easily move on from if they want him. It also helps out the Raiders where if you do this type of deal, you're probably doing it as almost like a 1-year prove-it deal. And for a corner that is as good as what Dean is, if he was on the open market, maybe he would make $12.5 million. I'm talking a little bit more about free agency. Now, I don't think Dean would make $12.5 just because the value and again, it's all about market price here and there. Players don't typically get paid as much in June compared to they do during the craziness of free agency. But if the Raiders were to trade for him, you're paying him $12.5 this season, and you would pay him $15.8 next year. But again, $0 million guaranteed. If he doesn't have a good year in 2025, you cut him in 2026, you move on, or you try to trade him just like Tampa Bay tried to trade him to you. Coming up next here, though, I am going to get in to at least some of my trade ideas. And one of the trades I think you're going to get a chuckle out of it. It's a trade that I've never done before. Let's just say, I've never asked this thing, to make a trade ever before. If you don't know, we're doing a fantasy football league here on the Raiders Report, and we're getting down there. We're announcing a winner to get in on June 30th. 12-team league, and we're giving away 2 spots in June. Right now, Fabian Moreno is the bang MVP. Based on the time that I'm filming this, though, who knows? Maybe Friday's show was really crazy. $5 super thanks or a super chat is the way that you get in. So when you're watching this video, very well likely could be on June 30th. This might be your final chance to get in. Send in that $5 super thanks if you're unable to join us when we go live on Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. So let's first go to, I got 3 trade ideas around the Buccaneers. And the first one, not made by Allen Iverson, though that'd be pretty dope. It's going to be something I'll try to get by the time I die. I got an AI trade, and I asked ChatGPT, what would be a trade between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And I'll admit, it didn't spit out exactly what I was looking for, but what it did spit out is a late round day 3 pick. So I didn't think it was going to be a 7th round pick. And when I hear late round, I do typically think maybe 6th, maybe 5th rounder. But for the sake of AI, I'm going to give this a 5th round pick. The Las Vegas Raiders get Jamel Dean. If you want to weigh in on each of these trades, please let me know. The next thing I'm going to be looking at is what does the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need? And I'll be very transparent. I actually think that Tampa Bay's roster is one of the more complete rosters in the NFL, offensively and defensively. And if you look at that roster, like that's what the Raiders should try to do with John Spytek, and I think that that's ultimately what they are going to try to do. Value good starters and value good depth. However, I reached out to a few people, and they told me that the biggest need right now for Tampa Bay would be an interior linebacker. So because of that, let's offer the Buccaneers a 6th-round pick and Tommy Eichenberg. The Las Vegas Raiders end up getting Jamel Dean. The final trade here is this one, and it's my trade offer to the Buccaneers. Reminder earlier in the show when I said I'm going to let you know what I would trade to Tampa Bay to go get Dean. Here's my offer. My offer is I'm actually not interested, and it's not that I don't think Dean is a good player. And some of you are probably going, well, wait a minute, Mitch. I thought you just said Dean would be the best cornerback on our roster. I actually do probably think that. And I do think that if he's healthy, that's going to be great. But what I'm not doing right now is I'm not going to pick up the phone and I'm not going to go out and trade for him because I think the way Jamel Dean plays, I think Stephon Gilmore can still play at that almost type of level. And he's going to be healthier. I think Rasul Douglas, sure, he might not play as well as what Dean did, but I think Douglas is more likely to stay healthy. What about a Mike Hilton? I'll also say I would rather invest some of that money in a Justin Simmons. I'd rather invest some of that money in a Julian Blackmon. Until there are players that I don't feel also help us out at corner and free safety, and I don't have to give up a draft pick, I'm not interested in trading for a player, and because I think we can get just as good of players on the open market. That is my reason why I'm not making a trade for Jamel Dean. So in conclusion, I do think a trade to the Raiders could potentially happen, ultimately because of, one, Tampa Bay trying to move on from somebody because they drafted some replacements, also the connection with John Spytek, also the connection with Tom Brady. I wouldn't trade for him because of his injury history and because of the free agent players out there, but the Raiders should target somebody before they go out and make this deal. I'm not saying if we were sitting here a few days from now, a few weeks from now, right before training camp, and it's breaking news, the Raiders trade for Jamel Dean, I wouldn't be upset about it. I think he would make us better. I'm just saying right now, at the day that I'm making this video, there are better options on the open market. For that reason, I'm not making the trade.